Hey Saber fans, welcome back. This is Adam from Blue Force Sabers. Just completed another UltraSabers rebuild. This came out amazing. Loved the paint job on this. So the story behind this one was the customer gave me kind of a brief story of what he was thinking. It was a Sith that turned Jedi, but went back to the Force and became Jedi again. So that was just the general storyline, and I went with it. So I wanted to do this combination of gold and this mixture in the middle here by the switch, where you can see this transition of this cool gold with the red with some weathering. You didn't want a ton of damage on there, so I just did some dremeling in here in various spots, and I'll go over all those quick details with you. Switched out the pommel for a custom saber shop pommel, and I think it really just mixes in well and really completes this hilt. Makes it totally different. This was just a plain old black, boring, standard UltraSabers hilt, and now look at it. Looks amazing, completely customized, and now one of a kind, and now has its own story. So real quick, before I jump into it, inside is a Crystal Focus 10 soundboard, whole bunch of sound fonts. The one he specifically requested to be on here was a Link Zelda sound font, so I threw that on there as well. And so you have the recharge port, which is built into the chassis. You have the retention screw for the LED, so now it locks the LED, so it's not just floating around in there. Like typical UltraSabers, we have the retention screw for the chassis, so that locks everything in. Nothing that rattles and shakes in there anymore. 28mm bass speaker, super loud, and it's even louder because now you can push the chassis into the pommel so it's closer to the sound port. If you don't know, I highly recommend going with the custom saber shop pommels. It adds a little bit of variation to your saber. This one came with the standard, I have it around here someplace, but just the one that has the hole in the base of the pommel. Not a whole lot to it, plus it leaves your speaker exposed to getting damaged. So this is a much better pommel. It's made thinner and it allows the chassis to slide into it, so much better than the UltraSaber pommels, which are so thick, and then it cuts off your speaker depth into the pommel because it's so thick. So instead of the speaker sitting around this area, it would sit all the way up here where it screws in. So it's a good like 1.5 to 2 inches depending on the saber design of where your speaker sits. But now you have the flexibility to be able to kind of move it up and down, play with the sound the way you like it, the resonance, so it gives you just much more options. So you had the kill key in there, which cuts the power off. You have the rechargeable battery, so you can pull that out. You want to recharge it that way, or you can use the recharge port in there. You also have access to the SD card, so you can add, change fonts, do whatever you want. So nice and convenient for you. So getting into the saber paint on this one, sanded it all down. If you check out my Patreon page, I have all the behind the scenes where I did the work, gutted it, sanded it, repainted it, everything. So you can see the whole process of it. That's some new stuff I'm doing. If that interests you, go check out my Patreon page. I also do a complete tutorial, 7-part series of how to build a saber too. So if all that interests you, go check it out. I highly recommend it and appreciate your support. Enough of that, back into the saber. So what I did, sanded this down, took off some of that black anodized paint so we can get better adhesion, and primed it black. Went back in, a couple layers of gold, a couple layers of red, metallic red, another black coat over top of it, sanded it down to make all this cool weathering, and now access to the gold as well. And if you can see a little bit here, to create this extra little damage effect, I create this kind of crackling effect in the black paint just on the top. So you can see it just a little bit here. Adds a little bit more to the weathering, but it's all clear coated in there, so I think it looks pretty cool and adds a little bit more. So you got this slight damage up top, a couple little blaster shots in here, and then I sand away areas so it makes those pop out. Just different cool areas here. You have this cool shine through with the emitter section, the tension screw for the blade. Just some more damage kind of coming down here. Down to the switch. Now this was the big area I wanted to kind of focus on, was the switch, because we have a illuminated switch on this one. This is a 12mm. I was originally going to go with the 16, but if you go with the 16, you either have this bezel that sticks up, which I'm not a huge fan of, or it kind of sticks over the edge, but this had just a push-in switch, so it works out perfectly. All you have to do is just drill it down a little bit more. You use the 12mm switch, and now look at it. It's nice and flush, pretty much hidden until you rotate it, and you can see it now, so it looks much better. But the paint is where I wanted to really focus it. A little bit of damage here, a couple of blaster shots that it took, a little bit of crackling around the blade, but now you have this cool transition of the black, the gold that mixes in with the metallic red. So it almost kind of looks like a fire transition with it, which is really cool the way it came out. And then it peeks out behind the black too. So love the way it came out. Had these kind of blaster deflects kind of roll down. Really love the way this kind of two-tone came out here. A couple other streak marks here. Down to the grip area, where you would see like this natural weathering as if you're gripping it. All the grooves in here are still black, but the outside where it would wear off over time shows the red. Some more weathering, retention screw for the chassis, more dremeling, and then down to this cool custom saber shop pommel where it transitions back to a bit of this gold again. A little bit of dremeling down there. Not too crazy on this one like requested, but overall I think it came out fantastic. Really love it. So let's fire it up here real fast so you can hear it super loud with this bass speaker.
Surely we can be civilized about this. Our guests have arrived.
Of course you get the smooth swing. Lock up and everything. Spectral mode. So you can transition through all those colors. Love this feature of this board. Go back to this. Now we'll go stick with the lime color.
Missed me. You're wasting your time.
Backtrack. Super loud. Crazy loud. Oh yeah, they're like right in the movies.
There's never time to linger on.
Gotta love it. So let's switch to the Link font, which is all the way, of course, as the last font. Hold that button down. There you go, so you get the menu. And you can just go through.
Son of Doc.
You can just fast through as fast as you want. Try not to pass it here.
Frozen wood.
There we go. Super cool font. Of course, if you're a Zelda fan, even cooler. I already have it on a yellow blade. Whoop. Hit the desk there. So there you go. Awesome saber. So you can really make these Ultra Sabers super cool. They don't have to be plain. You can make them completely unique. Build that storyline, make an awesome saber, have a good time. Until next time, take care, God bless.